everybody, it's Margie. So Amy had asked me to do some tutorials, and it's hard for me to go live because I work full-time, I'm in school full-time, I have a fitness side hustle, and I do cups. So it would not be a good hour of the day when I can come on and a girl's gotta sleep. So I'm pre-recording this and uploading it to my YouTube and just gonna put the video here, which you're watching. If you have any comments or questions, drop them below and I'll revisit it and come back and tell you. So hopefully I can explain what I'm doing. This is the first time I've done something like this, so bear with me. Scrapbook paper tumblers, I watched a live that Chris did on here and it inspired me. So the first one I did was this green one, and that's all of you, and the chunky is sugar pine, and this is just cheap washi tape that I got off Amazon. Not perfect, definitely a learning experience on this one. And the second one, it's not finished yet, but it's this one. It's cut like a triangle. And that's frosted boysenberry, and that chunky is meadowbrook. It's a green to purple color shift. Really pretty. And I'm going to cover the seam with maybe vinyl or washi tape. I'm not sure what color to do. Maybe green. But that's that one. And today I'm working on one for a coworker's daughter. She's obsessed with Hello Kitty. I did buy the licensed Cricut paper. They were having a sale on the Cricut website. So this is the paper that I'm using. And I used my Cricut to cut it into a triangle. And what I did to figure that out is I took my cup here, and I've never used this brand. This was Maker Flow. Someone mentioned they were having a sale, and I'm like, oh, I'll try it. But it doesn't have a curve, it's flat, which is easier to work with when you're doing scrapbook cups. So what I did was I took my measuring tape and I just measured the length of it, and then I tried to eyeball halfway around and measured halfway around the cup to get my measurement for the triangle. And Cricut's not always precise, so it's not gonna be completely, it's not the complete length. You see, I'm gonna have space up top, which is fine because I don't know how to curve images, and Cricut design space. I don't know if you can, I don't know. So what I'm gonna wind up doing is leaving the top space there, and I'm gonna outline this with washi tape or vinyl. So I'll have a strip over the top and down the sides to kind of just frame the triangle of the paper, cover up any seams, and it also covers up that glitter to paper spot like that. I can hide that like I did with this one. So for the lip on that one, I just went back with acrylic paint and painted it green, and then I glittered all the way to the edge. So it's kind of a hot mess, so I'm learning. But anyways, what you need is your cup. I sanded it. I'm not painting it. You can spray paint it white or whatever color your glitter's gonna be. I'm out of spray paint and I just haven't made it to the store. So I'm rolling with it as is. You need your paper that you cut. I know Chris, for the one that she did, she uploaded the template from Design Space Cricut in a Facebook or in a post here, if you have that size cup. But for me, I measured it and then did the dimensions with the triangle shape and Cricut and just dragged it to fit. I also recommend, I have a bunch of this paper, but if you don't have a lot of paper, use a regular piece of computer paper first and do your cut and make sure line it up and see if it works, and then you can adjust from there. That way you're not ruining cardstock by changing sizes. All right, hydration break. It's a naked cup. I'm sorry. I got a big 40 ounce from Stainless Steel Depot because I need to work on drinking more water. I don't know what to put on it yet, so bear with me there. All right, cup, paper, Mod Podge, and a brush. This is a Mod Podge brush. I got a 3-pack from Amazon. I like it. works better than the foam brushes, and it doesn't leave those streaky streaks. You know what I'm talking about. The thick parts. And I'm just using Mod Podge gloss, the orange bottle. It works for me. Just gonna give it a little shake and make sure your hands are clean. I've got some Rogue glitter here, so I'm gonna glove up. Alrighty. So weird I'm talking to myself. I'll figure out the live schedule one of these days. All right, Mod Podge. And Chris actually had hers in like a squeeze bottle and squeezed it right onto the cup, and that is brilliant. That way I'm not wasting my cups by pouring Mod Podge in them. So I don't have a squeeze bottle, but I'm going to just pour from the bottle onto this for the glitter. Right now I'm going to Mod Podge onto the paper. Alright, so got some on my brush here, and I'm just going to go ahead and brush it onto the paper, the back side, of course. Flinging it everywhere. Pay attention, Marjorie. This brush I've used several times, and I guess I didn't clean it because it is stiff as all get out. I'm just brushing it on. It's nothing fancy. Making sure I get the edges. That tip there. All right, folks. Just coated. It looks uneven on the back because it's starting to dry a little bit, but it is good. Let's slap this puppy on there. Smoothing it from the inside out. And the way I measured it is that I wanted the tip close to the bottom, but remember I said I'm outlining it in tape, so the tape is going to be, it'll make this longer so it doesn't have to be all the way to the bottom, just like I'll be covering that top with tape as well. Okay, so it's down for the most part, but you'll see some of the edges are still up right here because we're putting it on a semi-curved surface. So I'm just going to take my brush with a little bit of Mod Podge, and I'm just going to try to push it up in there. And it's okay if it doesn't stick, because once we start putting it on top, it'll eventually lay down. But for right now, I'm just going to see if I can get it pushed up in there just a little bit. I make a mess with Mod Podge, by the way. Like, there is no clean way to do this in my eyes. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and coat the top of it. And we're just going to put it directly on the paper and do a thin coat over the paper. So here we go. It's okay if you get Mod Podge on the actual cup as well. I go back and clean it up before I Mod Podge the glitter on, just so it's more smooth. But this part, it gets messy, so just get it on there. And I'm brushing Mod Podge into the opened areas. Then I'm going to push it down. Okay. Brushing it in, pushing it down. Okay, so we have one layer on, and I am going to let this dry. And I'm going to tell you why, or actually show you why. So if you've ever painted cups with acrylic paint, when you're out of spray paint and you go to put acrylic paint on and you're brushing it on, and if you don't let that dry and you go back to do a second layer, it starts to pull up the paint you just put down and it looks like a hot mess. That's what happens with Mod Podge. The first cup I did, this one, I didn't let the Mod Podge dry between coats. So, where's it at? Down here. See that lovely gray spot? That wasn't sealed all the way with Mod Podge. So when I went to epoxy it, the paper absorbed the epoxy, so it looks like a wet spot. There's no saving it now. And I didn't notice it until I got pretty much done. I'm going to keep this one for me because it, like I said, it's not perfect. It's a learning cup. I could potentially, if somebody wanted this, take more of this gold tape and outline the top and hide it, but, or at the bottom, mind you. But yeah, so when you don't let it dry and you go to do more coats, it was pulling up and it didn't get sealed properly. And it's just that one spot, but gosh darn it. It made me so mad. So another way I'm going to speed this up, I'm going to take my hot air gun and I'm just going to blow on it. So, excuse me. Still concentrating on those edges. I want to make sure they're sticking down. Okay, we're ready for the second layer. I do want to get it on the little silver right before the edges here because I feel like it seals underneath and you won't get that wet spot from epoxy like I just showed you. So it is totally okay to seal, to get Mod Podge on that cup on the edges of the paper. Layer number 2 is done. You can see I've got Mod Podge, that white line, but that's okay because that's going to seal the edge. Just painting on glue. And we'll let that chill out for a minute. I'll show you some other things that I've got going on. This was the Tiffany Stone Dreamcatcher that I've got for a coworker of mine. Just one color. I live in North Carolina and he wanted a Carolina blue sky color for, I believe this is for his mother-in-law. They're part Cherokee and they wanted a dream catcher. So this is a temporary tattoo I got off Amazon. So I used the epoxy method to glitter it. And there's 2 layers of epoxy before the decal. There's my flood coat, and then I sanded it, and then I put another layer of epoxy on so it was smooth, and put the tattoo on, and then did a thin layer over it to seal, and it's done. I just need to clean up the lip. But that Tiffany Stone is so pretty. Moving on, we'll let that dry a little more. Oh, I'm working on earrings. So Amy had that awesome patriotic bundle. I forget what she calls this. Am I Liberty? I don't remember what she called it. But I've got that cool red, white, and blue in these earring molds. I think that'll be really cool. Nice and festive. And then I used Rudolph in an earring mold and put it over a faux leather backing. I used to make hair bows for little girls using my Cricut and the faux leather. So this was left over from last year. I got it off an Etsy shop, I can't remember, but it's patriotic with that on top. So like, that'll be festive. All right, back to the cup. Okay, next layer. This is layer number 3 on top. You know, Mod Podge goes on white, but it dries clear. So it does help me see where I've been and where I need to go. And you do want to smooth it out. Make sure you don't have those thick brush strokes because you will be able to see that under epoxy. All right. Let that one chill. And I will show you glitter, what we're going to do. So like I said, this is for my coworker's daughter, and she likes hot pink and purple, but more purple. So I was like, oh, the paper's pink, and I don't have a pink to match that, because this isn't hot pink. It's more like baby pink and magenta. So I don't have time to order anything. I'm going to use on the base Purple Lava, all ppm, and then I'm going to sprinkle on top. I believe this is Purple Galaxy. My sticker fell off, but I'm going to do a sprinkle of that on top and then a sprinkle of Starlight. Whew. So these two on top of this. And then we're gonna do one more coat and let it dry. And I'm gonna break this up into 2 videos. The first video is just this Mod Podge technique, and then the second video I upload will be the glittering process. I just see this edge isn't stuck down. It popped up, so I'm gonna press it down. We don't want epoxy to get underneath this and lift it up. Just like when you're laying vinyl on a cup, if you get that air bubble right on the edge there and the epoxy gets in, there's no coming back from it. You can't push it back down. So we're just making sure all the edges are sealed. I'm just pressing down. Okay. Fingerprints on here. I'm going to hit it with hot air to speed up the process. Let it sit just another second or two. What else can I talk to you about? I don't know if you guys use Tumbler shields, but I got them and they are amazing. And kicking over things under there. It's this little silicone piece that you stick into the lip of your cup while it's turning, and it keeps the epoxy from getting inside your cup. Or if you're spray painting your cup, throw this sucker on there. And that way when you're putting your epoxy on, you hit this and it doesn't drip in, and it makes cleanup so much easier when you don't have to take your X-Acto knife to the edges. So great thing. TumblerShields.com I think is what they are. But if you don't read how to use them and and your common sense goes out the window like it did for me, I left the shield on this cup for the entire curing process, and your cup comes out like that. You're supposed to remove this after like 20 minutes of it spinning. While it's going, you just yank it and let it chill out on the arm while it turns. So yeah, I have this. I know I can take a knife to it, but it's on there. Oh, I'm gonna have to take a knife and sand it. But I love this cup. This was what did I use? Purple Lava, and then Meadowbrook is the green to purple chunky, and then Army of God, and then Honesty. And you're in front of my window, so it's hard to see, but I love this cup, but daggone. Remember to pull your tumbler shield off after 20 to 30 minutes, or else you get a disaster. Ah. Okay. Last layer of Mod Podge, then I'm going to take a break and come back and glitter it. And this is sealing the paper so that you don't get wet spots from the epoxy, like I showed you on that green cup. It's like sealing a water slide. Think of it that way, so the ink doesn't run. Kind of the same thing with this. No wet spots. My neighbor's playing their music pretty loud. I don't know if you can hear that. And I'm not pressing down hard, because remember, like I said, if you press down hard and it's not fully dry, you'll pull up the layers from underneath and it ruins it and you get wet spots. So just make sure you keep that in mind. All right. That was 1 layer of Mod Podge to stick the paper on and 4 layers on top, letting it dry pretty well in between each layer. I'm going to let this sit and fully dry, and then I'm going to go clean up where I have spots of Mod Podge from my fingers all over the cup. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that yet. Acetone maybe, or water and soap. I don't know. Just have to be careful. But I'm going to let that dry, and then I will be back to glitter it. Leave your questions down below. Bye.